Go. Hello, this is going to be the first time we're making this type of video, and I'm ready to try something new. And today I got someone with me, a special guest. This guy is a friend of mine. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jared, man. I known you for quite some time now, I believe.
Yeah, been a while. I think around like 2016.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
4 years.
Around there.
So yeah, today we're just doing a little small podcast, see how it's gonna work. And of course, I know this guy for a very long time. We both love like anime, cartoons, superheroes. So I thought it'd be right for us to talk about those kind of things. So the first thing I want to talk about is basically talk about the comparison between comic books and like mangas, and like what are your thoughts about it? Like which was better? What's your opinion?
So, so my opinion, I gotta go with manga. I prefer manga over comic books
Why is
simply
that?
because I feel like manga is a little bit more intimate in a sense than comic books are.
Yeah,
Like comic books seem, well, probably not when they first started out, but comic books seem like much more of a big production than manga does.
yeah,
Like manga seems more like a love child of the creator, so to speak. You know what I mean?
yeah. I totally understand.
It'd be like an indie game versus a triple A game. At least now, that's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people feeling that way because my thing, when I read like comic books or even mangas, I feel like I'm more getting a story from the creator when I read manga. Because when I read
Precisely.
yeah, because I read it, it feel like I'm looking at an industry telling a creator, the comic book, sorry, or telling the creator, hey, we want you to make this so we can fit this movie coming out, or or maybe the political spectrum right now. We want to go with this,
Hmm.
and don't really feel like the creator really have their own word and say about the whole thing.
Right,
So
and like I said, it may not have always been the case where it felt
yeah,
like that because I'm sure in the original days with even like Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, different stuff like that. But then again, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they were completely responsible for drawing every single one of their characters and everything. But I,
yeah,
I believe
you're
I'm
right,
wrong on that though. But yeah,
you're right.
but manga just seems on the opposite side of that. It seems like anything that has to do with that manga, the creator has a hand in, whether it be the way a character looks, the art style. It seems like it's really close with that creator, and I think you can't really replace that.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I just really have problem with like the comic book. So I I went on a trip, and the first place I wanted to go to is a comic book store, and I got a comic book store, a Spider-Man, like the very first one. And when I read it, I'm like, yeah, this is definitely written by the person, not the company, the person. They said they had a lot of heart to it. They actually have story behind it. And I compared it to the new comic book recently. It just feels like they're just trying to put themselves in like this political spectrum, whether it's like a right wing or left wing, to please an audience, rather than actually like a person actually caring about their character.
Mm.
And just like it didn't feel natural. It just feels like majority of the thing they do is preach about their political spectrum, then
Hmm.
actually telling me a story. And that's what a lot of people just don't like. And that's what I like about manga. It just feel like they're telling me a story.
Right, right. And I mean, hey, who's to say that it's not like I said, because it's just comic books feel like that, I think because I think it's just gravitated towards that simply because it's
Yeah.
as time goes on, like of course there's more things to talk about. We've introduced this character to do this. He's how would he feel about this going on in the situation? Because again,
Yeah.
I mean, these are actual people writing these actual stories. So I mean, if I was a creator, I have no choice but for the character I draw or the creation I make to take on some qualities that I behold or I believe in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. But like my part was that Spider-Man. If you know me, my favorite superhero all time is Spider-Man. And this is a
Good
weird
choice.
part.
Good choice.
And the weird part about it is basically like one thing I like about manga is that it's written by one person. So wherever they decide and wherever the ideas stop with that person.
Right,
With
right.
comic books, it's like okay, Stan Lee and give me a second, Ditko, they made us Spider-Man. That was their creation. But then you have like more other creators like during the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. There are more creators keep making new hero, changing the character each time.
Mm-hmm,
And it's
mm-hmm.
like one time I hear somebody say, "Oh, my I like Hulk because he this strong." Then somebody said, "No, he's not. He this strong." And then you realize you're talking about two different authors.
You know what? You bring up a very good point because that's one thing you don't see much of in mangas or anime in general. Right? You don't see much of another artist picking
Yeah,
up a character and making another story with them. That is pretty unique to comic books. I will give you
yeah.
that.
And like I said, like one time they have Peter Parker, he being like I think somebody said he's Jewish. Next thing I
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm being told that he's atheist. I'm like, what?
Hmm.
Like, they had like he religious and Catholic in one story, he Jewish in another story, and he atheist in another one. Like,
So there, I mean, like with anything, there's pros and cons to that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because you run into the issue of, so say, take for example Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z.
yeah,
So for a long time, of course, he had an editor that he would turn the stories into, say, hey, this is what I need, this is what I have, and print this. You know what I mean?
yes,
But for the most part, he doesn't really have to answer to anyone about his story, where he wants to take it, what he has to do, for the most part. However, you run into an issue with that because if you notice, Akira Toriyama forgets a lot of the stuff that he writes.
yeah,
So you run into a lot of issues, such as like, what character is this powerful? What is this character capable of? And if it's just you, if you're forgetting, or if you forget what you said about a character or what you've established about a character, there's no one to say, hey, we can't do that because just a few issues ago we said he couldn't do that. You know what I mean?
yes,
So it's I get it. It's pros and cons. Either way it goes. Because but like the point you made is that you don't see that often, where you get all these different takes on, like, say for example Goku. Like, there's only one Goku
yeah,
in manga, and even if you do see a different Goku in manga, it's for the most part Akira Toriyama has something to do with it until you get to like GT, where they
butcher
just
everything.
decided to do whatever and completely butchered the character in the series.
If I remember correctly, I haven't watched GT in a while. They made Goku, who's a god, who's like a grandfather at the time, a little boy again.
Indeed, they did.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can only imagine that someone in some boardroom was like, "Oh, the kids will be able to relate to him more because he's not a 30-year-old martial arts teacher."
And they made him go like a little venture with his grandchild. Yes,
It was.
so relatable. Having grandkids at 13.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They kind of went off the rails with GT. That's for sure.
Yeah. And like my thing is that when talking about like comic books and like mangas, you get different kind of mangas. Like you can like for instance anime. If somebody said, "Hey, anime is childish," you can be like, "What?" Well, it depends on what kind of anime you like. Do you like watching dark anime? You like
Hmm.
watching romantic? Do you like watching action? Do you want mystery or slice of life? You get all the different type, but really in like it's not really much of a big genre twist for comic books. It's like there are some, but it's not like a
It's
lot.
nowhere near as drastic. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because like I know some people would say like, oh, Archie there, but or Walking Dead, but it's like you don't really see that much unless you go to like you just luckily you just went to a bookstore and you see it on like the
Right.
bottom shelf.
So yeah, as far as genres go, I mean, comic books, there's a plethora of genre as far as comic books go, but
Yes.
I think here we start to call them, like, the darker they get and the more serious they get, we start to call them graphic novels. They start giving them that title because it's
Yes,
more of a
more
novel.
graphic.
So, yeah, right, more graphic, and it's more of like a novelization, if anything.
Yeah,
That, however, with anime, there is such a drastic, like, there's literally something for everyone with anime. That's
exactly.
that's one thing you can that's one thing you can't give to it, because, like you said, there are so many different genres that are so drastically different from one another that it's crazy. Like, it's honestly wild, the different things that you can get with anime. Whereas
Yeah,
comic books, it does seem a lot more streamlined.
yeah, because like it's a complete different from like Death Note to Naruto,
True,
and
very
like you
true.
can and you can draw, or if you were being crazy with what other anime that is not bad, I can say. Oh, give me a second.
Well, sure, you've got plenty of
Yeah,
quote unquote bubblegum anime, like, what was the one? It's just there. I
there's
can't
so
I
many.
can't think. It, but yeah, there's
Like
there's just
yeah, like
the
'cause there's
fact that
different.
you have difficulty thinking of it just shows you, like, there's so many different ones.
Like there's a difference between one of my favorite mangas I read, but from a silent voice and like Dragon Ball or like that kind
Hmm.
of stuff, or Your Lie in April, stuff like that. There's like so many, or Angel Beats. Like there's so much different for each one
Right.
from fairy tales, even though I don't like fairy tales. Uh, it just there's so much different. But if, like comic books, we all think about just superhero. Like we say, oh, I'm a comic book hero, or something like that. That's
That's true.
everybody keep
That's
thinking
true.
about.
I'll give you that, because now I will say that, to go back to the point we were talking about before, where
Yeah,
you have different artists taking on different characters with comic books, and you see that pretty often, where you've got, oh, this isn't that Batman from that universe. This is
yeah,
uh this is somebody else's Batman or something like that. To credit that, you get so many different looks at one character. Like, this, you got a Batman that is so much cooler than the other Batman, or you got a Batman that has such a different perspective because it's a different person writing it.
yes.
Like, I would love to see, if now I know it would probably never happen, but I would love to see the creator of Death Note do his take on Goku or something like that. Like, I would just love to see what the difference would be. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I think
Complete
that'd be
difference.
pretty cool. Oh yeah, it'd be extremely different.
Goku has you thinking for a very long time in battles.
Right. That'd be wild.
Or like, what is his name? Mr. Soto. No, it's in Kishimoto. Kishimoto. If I'm
Hmm.
saying I said his name wrong, I know I did. For
No,
Naruto,
it's Kishimoto. Yep.
I said the first name wrong. Uh,
Oh.
Kishimoto and his intake for like, you know, for also for Dragon Ball, and like, cause I personally like Naruto better than Dragon Ball. I know a lot of people don't have that same idea, but it's just like to me, I like to see how the fight scene look like to me because I like the fight scene in Naruto more than like Dragon Ball fight scenes. So I want to see how that would make, because to me, I feel like the fighting in Dragon Ball they just like throw punches really, while
True. True.
Naruto they actually look like they doing martial art. So I want to see how
Hmm.
like if Goku say he's the best martial artist in the world or the universe, I would like to see some martial artists, but it's not like that. And I kind of appreciate it's not like that because it gives me different take. I can say, oh, I like this one better than the other one, rather than people just go on carousels switching out stories each time. Say,
Right.
hey, you
Right.
got Batman. Like, well, you got Spider Man, you get Iron Man, you get this. Next week, we're gonna switch up the whole thing up.
Hmm. I get you. I get you.
Because like that's why I feel like comic books is not really being as productive as it used to be. You don't really feel like the writers or the artists have a voice in it. It feel like they're in like a business.
That's true. That's true. It does seem Comic books seem very corporate nowadays, especially now that they know they can make money off of them.
MCU.
Right, right. Now that they know it's basically a well of cash, like it's an infinite amount of cash that you can get now. They
Mhm.
they definitely have become a little bit more corporate, a little bit more self-serving, if you will.
Yeah, because like I was talking about the political part of it, because I feel like I'm okay with political stories. Like I think some of the best stories I like are political,
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
I
You got. Oh, I'm
Captain
sorry. Go
America.
ahead.
So sorry, like Captain America, like political thing like that.
I was gonna say, shoot, beyond Captain America, like uh, what is their name? What is their name? Watchmen. I was gonna say Watchmen. That's
Yes,
one of the first ones that come to mind.
yes, and that's like well known and beloved from a lot of fans.
Hmm.
But the problem is that I don't know. It's like the younger writers nowadays are don't have that little skills to actually implement real life and fictional life together and actually work well with the story. It feels like they have a agenda. They come to you and they say, "This is right. I'm right. You're wrong if you don't agree with it." But
Hmm.
and like you're gonna deal with it, and then it don't feel genuine in my take, and it just feels so preachy to me rather than actually make me feel like, oh, that's a really good story about this political
I
span we live
get
in
you. I
today.
get you. I get you. People, yeah, yeah. I get exactly what you're saying because it seems more so that and this, I mean, with anything, whether it be with reporting or whether it be with journalism, anything, it's people aren't allowed to draw their own conclusions anymore. It's everything is like pointed towards a stance, and whether or not that stance is right or wrong. No one presents people with this is one thing, this is another thing, and you draw your own conclusions. It seems like that's been lacking, very lacking.
Exactly. And and personally for me, I just don't like that because I feel like you're not really telling a story toward the audience, and it actually draw away audience. I have seen so many people on YouTube who just get on there and rant about, oh, this person putting their political spectrum on me and stuff like that, but then praise a story that probably go against their political spectrum in the past because it's so good. Like if some people say that, oh, you look at them, they find like the racist on that, but then like X-Men, who basically is an allegory between racism,
Hmm.
is and even though I'm not like a person who get mad about that kind of stuff, when I read these stories, I'm like, uh, they are kind of preachy. It don't really feel like they're telling me a story. It feel like they're trying to tell me something and put my favorite character, make them say it to me.
I get, yeah, I get exactly like pushing an agenda using
Yeah,
something you already like.
yeah, and that's to me. It don't That's when the story don't feel genuine or feel like you actually did. Sorry, drop something. Don't actually feel like you're actually telling us a story.
Hmm.
It just and that loses the lore. I mean, that loses like the whole feel of reading comic books anymore because you're not really excited to read them.
I Yeah, no, I understand that because, like I said, it just nowadays it seems very corporate. Everybody has an agenda to a push.
Yeah.
No one kind of like I said presents information to you and allows you to draw your own conclusions. It
Yes.
seems like that's a thing of the past.
Yeah. And that's why I think more people are drawn to mangas is because you get stories, you get people talking about different stuff and present in a way where everyone can actually enjoy it. Because I remember somebody made a video about, you ever heard of anime slash manga called Beastar?
Yes, I have definitely heard of that.
Okay, somebody made a good video. I don't know his name, so sorry, but he made a good video talking about how these stars talk about privileges in the world. How some people were born rich with a silver spoon, some people were just born poor, or in their case, some people born being like predators, and some people born being prey, and each how each person interact with each other show how they feel about this kind of system. And I know I read like Facebook comics, and Twitter a lot of time. And people saying like, "Oh, I don't want people to talk about my privileges," or they feel offended and they whole thing talk about it political. Yet people love Beastar, because, and I say
Hmm.
because the story was presented correctly. It's actually addressed something that matters to the person, but the person knew how to finesse the story enough to make people
Right,
like
right.
it and learn something.
there's always a right and a wrong way to, like, there's no right and wrong thing to say, but there's always a right and wrong way to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's the way I've always thought, is that I mean, you can say or create anything you want, and you can make it say, or, make it create anything you want it to. But there's a way to go about doing things. It's not always what you do or what you say, but it's why you do and why you say.
yeah. It's like it's not like how your parents tell you, and not what you said, it's how you said, and that's basically
Mm-hmm.
how writers need to figure out how to say and present their story to people, because because you try to get like an audience and they can push them away if you do it wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just something that I have problem with comic book. It feel corporate. You don't feel like there's any big connection with between the readers and the author,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's one
Other
thing
than
mangas
the
have.
the character, they like, yep.
Yeah,
No, I get exactly what you're saying, because I mean, I've kind of noticed that as well. It's like the more money they start to make off of them, the more it starts to drift towards like, okay, how can we continue to make money?
yeah,
How can we please everyone without upsetting anyone?
yes,
Which, if you live life like that, man, you end up upsetting everyone.
exactly. Because okay, so I didn't read the story. I just heard on YouTube. I don't know if it came out because due to COVID, but
Hmm.
there's this one story where they have these two twins, and one named like Snowflake, and the other one was called Safe Space, and I was like, no, like one made like Force Shield, and one dude like if I remember correctly, ice powers, and
Oh my,
it was just bad.
that's pretty funny.
Like, and they said, yeah, we decided to give it to them because we heard in the political spectrum people call snowflakes, and we want to use that, and we use all these negative connotations and make it feel like a source of power. And I'm like, no, don't do this. It was Marvel too, so
Ugh, ugh.
so
That
I
sounds
just
like something. That sounds like something I'd pick up and put back down.
exactly, and they're gonna pick like and they use like an actual a group. This was like a new generation of kids in this one group they had back in the '90s. I forgot the name of it though.
Yikes! I'm sure. Give it about 20, 30 years, and kids will love it. Like, it'll be ironically popular.
Yes, like the cult classic. At the time, no one loved it, but now it's so
Right.
popular.
That's probably one of those guys.
I don't think so, man. It's I don't know. Maybe the story is really good, but based on how many times I've seen some on YouTube and also in real life, some bad comic books written by some person who try to put who didn't do a good job of presenting their story, and it fails, it'll never go. It's I feel like this is one of those things too.
Mm, I can agree. I can agree with you on
Yeah.
that, man.
So to me, I feel like Marvel should go back to their roots. I feel like they should give the creator more freedom and start creating characters for people who don't even read comic books.
Hmm.
Because
All right.
that's been a problem for a while.
Well, it's tough when you say that, because it's like, okay, so you do something such as, all right, if you create a comic book, of course you do it because you love creating, you love writing,
Yes.
but it also has to be sustainable.
Yes.
If you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if it's not sustainable, if people don't like it, or not enough
They
people like
cancel it.
it, you cannot continue to create that comic book. So it's a very thin line that creators, or anyone who creates anything, it's a very
Mhm.
thin line they walk. It all depends on what you're willing to put up with as a creator, or what you're really in it for. Because if you're not in it for money or anything like that, then you'll be fine. If just a small group of people like your content, you'll be fine if you're not in it for money. But if you're in it for money, popularity, anything like that, of course you're gonna bend the knee.
Yeah, and because like for instance, remember at the end of the Infinity War, when people were getting like erased, and
Hmm.
Nick Fury hit that button to call for Captain Marvel. There was like a big line of production for making Captain Marvel comics, just so people know who she is. And
Hmm.
when people went out there and tried to research, like, who is Captain Marvel? I never heard Captain Marvel before. I seen some stories, and those stories were boring. And they did like a lot of reruns just so because they was just not selling much they want to.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know, yeah, I get what you're saying. They're
So they were
trying to.
basically being corporate trying to promote a movie coming out the next year in March
Hmm. Hmm.
that
Yeah.
and they would just like say, "Hey, writer, you come on, write this story for Captain Marvel and to see what's go and see how it goes." And then there's run to get canceled within like one issue. I heard like one or two issues.
Ugh, that's tough.
Yeah, imagine that being
And
the
I
first
mean,
comic.
they probably did not care if those comics got canceled. They probably did not care at all.
They didn't because based off I read the story, they had no story. There's just one
they
like this one part where they're just stuck on this rocket ship, and then it was like
they probably were
that's
banking on,
the
let's
whole
just
story.
get it
There's
out there. Yeah, they were probably, let's just get it out there. They were banking on people would just buy it because it had Captain Marvel attached to it, and they hoping to bank on people's curiosity.
yeah, because comic books cover are so misleading. They're so misleading because you look at a comic book cover and you're like, wow, this is gonna be a crazy story because the art on it is like showing something insane on it, and then you open the book and there's like barely any story in there.
Dude, that's just a testament to the artists who
Clickbait.
create them, man. That is just a testament to how good those cover artists are,
Yes,
because
they are good.
their job is to get you to pick that book up, and if you pick that book up, they've done their job. So yeah, that's pretty great. Well, their job is to sell that book, so
Yeah.
you picking up the book is just a first step to that, which is pretty cool.
They said, please don't open up and start reading. Please don't start opening and reading. So they put it in plastic. They put it in plastic, and so you can't open up in the store. Because one thing my dad and I complained about was that we get a comic book, we buy it like $3 something. I don't know, maybe cheaper somewhere else,
Right?
and we go home. I'm excited to read it, and then we read it. There's ad, and then you finish.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, that's my big complaint. It's like the story of it. There's barely any story in the comic book because the thing is so thin. They're so thin.
Oh my god, man. Yeah, that's a cash grab. That is definitely 100% a cash grab.
And then I go get like a manga volume book, and you know how thick those things are, right?
Yes.
There are like you can read it and you like actually. I remember it took me a while to read like a Naruto manga, and it like take me like a whole day, and it's just me reading each time, and they're like adding begin like an ad in the first page, and then add at the end.
Mm-hmm.
While in the story in a comic book, they're like add in the beginning, the end, and the middle, in like 7 pages of story.
Yeah, that's fluff, man. They're trying to pad the pages, trying to make it last just a little bit longer than it should.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, shoot, ads anywhere are annoying. Like I, I don't mind. You know, you're trying to get your product out there. You're trying to promote your product, but at some point, advertisements can get to be pretty predatory.
Yes, like I read more of the ad than I read the comic book. I'm reading an ad for another comic book. That's how stupid it was. I'm reading a Spider-Man comic book. Next thing I know, I'm reading like 3 pages of a Fantastic Four.
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't like Fantastic Four. Why am I reading this about?
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, pretty much. I really kind of ran out about comic books and manga. So since we're talking about comic book and manga, let's talk about the other side of them and talk about TV shows, anime, and cartoons.
Mm.
Yeah. So what is your favorite? Like when you sit down, go on Netflix, which one you rather pick? You rather watch anime or you rather watch some American cartoon?
Man, I gotta be honest. It depends on how I'm feeling that day. If I'm feeling nostalgic, man, I will turn on some Hey Arnold so fast. I will turn on some Bugs Bunny. I it's it's so ingrained into my childhood
Yes.
and into who I am at this point that it's like I can taste cereal when I watch certain cartoons, man, from waking up in the mornings and going to watch them.
Yes.
It's crazy how much of a part of my life that cartoons are. On the other side of it though, anime is I love that anime is has a source material to come from.
Yes.
Like I feel like most animes have a framework. So for what we here in America know as going from like a comic book to a movie, with manga and anime, it's basically the same thing, like going from a manga to an anime. Because of course you've seen some anime that will depart from their source material. They'll change some things that happened in the manga
Yeah.
going over to the anime, and sometimes it works out for the better, such
Yeah.
as like or I won't even say works out for the better. Sometimes it just works out, such as like Titanfall. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm sitting here saying Titanfall. Attack on Titan. I'm thinking about Xbox, man. But no, Attack on Titan. It worked out for Attack on Titan. Some things it doesn't work out so good for, such as um Full Metal Alchemist, where they
Oh, the first one,
yeah
yeah.
the original Full Metal Alchemist, where they completely broke away from the manga, and it got a little crazy.
Then say, you know what, we're gonna remake it and call it
Yeah,
Brotherhood.
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do the first thing.
Let's say, you know what? Hope we just put Brotherhood so people can tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's hard, extremely hard telling like if given one over the other for anime and cartoons for myself,
Yeah,
because
I totally agree.
there are some cartoons that are just untouchable, like the original Tom and Jerry. You just cannot touch these cartoons. There's something about American hand animation, like some of the original Disney movies and the original Tom and Jerry's, where they are hand animating it.
Yeah.
To this day, it can't. It's flawless. It can't be touched, and they don't do it anymore because it's so time consuming. But when they do, God am I appreciative of it because it is beautiful, hand animated, like old school hand animation is gorgeous. I there are no words for it. It really isn't, in
I
my
agree.
opinion, anyway.
For me, when we talk about cartoon, my favorites are like the 2000 cartoons. I feel like there's
Mm-hmm.
so many. Like I can just start naming some, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, like Kim Possible.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are classics,
That was a
man.
banger. Let me see. Avatar: The Last Airbender. That was a banger. Uh, Danny Phantom. That was a like those shows. I just sat there and watched them. Ben 10. Those type of shows. When I remember like coming home from school and
Mm-hmm.
going straight to my sister's room because she the one who had TV and just turning on. Going to Cartoon Network, just going down and see Ben 10, clicking on, just watch for like 30 minutes. Like those type of things bring back memories of just watching them. And I started watching like anime really back in like 2010. Yeah, 2010 with Dragon Ball be my first one. But the memories just like from being like 5 years old and watching Kim Possible, Dave the Barbarian, Lola and Mr. Whisker, and those type of the random shows I see on Disney Channel,
Mm-hmm.
Cartoon Network, and
All
Nickelodeon.
late at night. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I will, man. I gotta tell you, shout out to Toonami because if it weren't
Yes.
for Toonami, man, I don't think I ever would know what anime was. They really took a chance on it, and boy, did it pay off.
Yes.
I can't remember. I think the first anime I ever laid eyes on, of course, was Toonami. I want to say no, because Cowboy Bebop didn't come on midday. That didn't come on, start coming
I
on
think
until Adult
Naruto did
Swim.
though.
Yeah, now Naruto did start on Toonami midday, but I'm talking about Toonami like it had to be maybe 2001,
Oh no,
maybe 2000, 99, 2000, something like that when Toonami first started.
yeah,
And
1998, I think.
okay, yeah. That around that time they were showing they had like Rurouni Kenshin, Gundam,
Oh
you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
old, well, what would be considered now old anime. And I think those are some of the first ones I ever laid eyes on and fell in love, man. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I liked it.
yeah, because you could, yeah, I think. Well, for me, really, weirdly enough, the first one I actually watched really much was Dragon Ball, and that was from like Nicktoon
Mm-hmm.
when they were like broadcasting that on
Yep.
Nicktoon. So I was watching that on that show, and then Naruto. Now I'm not gonna say where I saw it from, because that'd be kind of an illegal side. But I saw the show, and it's really good. Let's just say I'm posting the same place where I saw Naruto from. But yeah, it's just that watching those stuff, it did bring back a lot of memories, and it's fun to just go back and watch it. To me, I feel like cartoon and anime, in my opinion, are kind of the same in my perspective. Now, because I think now a lot of people are saying that cartoon is start drifting away from being too kiddish, doing the slapstick you see on Teen Titan Go,
Uh-huh.
to actually talk about something serious. Like a lot of people are talking about how what that show called? I didn't watch it, but Steven Universe, and how
Okay. Taking on like talking about serious issues or
yeah,
things that would be considered to be more serious.
taboo for kids.
Right. I
Like
and I have my own opinions about that in particular because I feel like again, going back to the same conversation we were just having about pushing agendas and everything like that.
yeah,
I feel like there is a certain age that you should learn about certain things, and the age that you might be introduced to something like that might be a little young. You know?
I okay. So hopefully it don't come back and get us. On that thing, um, actually, um, in 12th grade when I was doing like psychology, they actually said that the time where kids trying to learn who they are as an identity, like who am I thing, is like
Mm-hmm.
12 years old. So if you're talking about a show, like let's say talking about more mature stuff for the kids, such as identity and whatever thing like that, it should start at like 12 years old from 18. That's where kids are trying to figure out who am I? And that's the best part. I know there's some shows that some people are questioning, like, are they going a little too young or like 11 and under?
Hmm.
And yeah, cause I see like cause you put like I don't know, Teen Titan Go, which is for like 8 years old, who kids who are 8 years old, and then put like Steven Universe right next after that. You might gonna see some kids looking at some stuff they should not be exposed to yet.
Hmm.
Well,
I
then
get what you're
again,
saying.
but then again, I saw Star Wars Clone Wars at 9 years old, and if you watch that show,
But
they
and
they
again,
have
I
a lot of
say
body
again,
counts.
there are. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do. What matters is how you say it, how you do it.
Yeah.
Steven Universe goes about it very well, if I do say so.
Yes.
I can agree with that. They attack, they talk about things that would normally or traditionally are difficult to talk about or difficult to approach,
A
and make it
taboo.
an extremely or taboo, and make it extremely approachable and very easy to address.
Mm-hmm.
So that I thought was a credit to it. I thought that was an excellent thing that they were able to do with Steven Universe, because not
Yeah.
everyone can do that. Not everyone can handle taboo topics with as much grace or with as much ability that Steven Universe was able to.
I mean, yeah, we talk about kids being exposed to a lot of stuff. I mean, during the time like 2008, 2009, Star Wars, The Clone Wars just came out, and I don't know if you're a watcher or not, but they did a Star Wars Clone Wars did something you're not supposed to do for kids shows. They start killing people on screen.
Oh, dude, yeah,
Like they
that's
were people were getting people getting head chopped off, people getting stabbed in the chest, people getting shot, and you see people like crying during wartime. And I'm seeing this at 9 years old. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I want to see next week.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I said, it's I loved Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I thought it was pretty great show. And I mean I'm a fan of Star Wars anyway. I I'm not 100% versed in it, but
Yeah,
I Star Wars is something I enjoy.
yeah. So like when we talk about like cartoons such as like Steven Universe and so that you talk about serious topics. I mean, it's kind of weird to say like, oh, we need to protect the kids, but there's certain shows that come on like an 8 year old should not be watching like regular show. You know what I mean? But it's still
Okay,
there for
I
kids
get
to
what you're
watch it.
saying. Oh yeah.
Like a kid probably still be up like 9 o'clock at night, still watching
Oh
regular
yeah.
show.
But you know how they go. They have time slots, and the later it gets into the night, they figure yeah. And it's also one of those things where you can't. It's not something you can blame a creator for either, because as with video games, it's as a parent you should be on top of what your child is watching.
Right.
Now, of course, everybody is human. Everybody, everybody. You can't know 24/7 what your children are doing, but you should definitely make the effort. The effort should be made.
That's why I had YouTube Kids because kids were finding weird stuff on YouTube.
Oh, dude, it's stuff is so accessible, especially because the generation that's coming up now understands computers and technology so much better than the generation ahead of it. At least I can say that in my case. I think I got a few years on you, Matt, but
Yeah.
yeah, I understood computers and websites so much better than my parents. They would have never known what I was doing or what I was going to. They just had the trust that they laid a good groundwork that I wouldn't be doing any or watching anything I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, so like to me, and same thing for anime too. Is like you can find some like how we talk about serious topic for a cartoon. I mean, anime been talk about serious topic a long time ago, and they do.
what?
I've seen a lot of people getting frustrated when people say, "Oh, anime's for kids," and then people in the same like I think in the meme where they say anime for kids, and they show like a when what's his name Madara killing everybody in the Ninja War.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now the thing about it is though, if you look at the history of cartoons and animation in America,
Yeah,
cartoons were never for children. Cartoons never started out being for children.
they're like a
It
war propaganda, was it?
Well, no, it wasn't. In some cases, yes, it was war propaganda, but cartoons were used to. Funny enough, cartoons were a political thing.
Yes,
They started out as caricatures and just kind of making fun of or being able to make a stance or spread a message of like political things
satire.
or it's satire. That's the word I'm looking for. They started out as like satire of things that were going on in your situation because obviously a person would never say the things that you can make them say as a caricature in a cartoon.
Yeah,
But that's exactly what they were saying.
exactly. And it's like
So cartoons started out never being for children. They weren't originally for children. They just so happened to turn into that. Children started to enjoy them. Like it's children like bright colors and loud noises.
exactly. And also like for instance, like a lot of people are saying like for Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I started watching it when it came out 2005, so I was 5 years old when I watched it.
Hmm.
And even though it was like a kid show, it was so mature in so many ways that it felt like what you see on anime. It like it don't treat the audience well. Most one we seen don't treat the audience as children. They just said, "Hey, I want to tell a story. Let me tell you a story." And and so like when I'm like 5 years old and like, oh, I love this show, then becoming like, I don't know, 20 or 21-year old later on, and you just watch it again, I'm like, wow, it's been 15 years, 16 years, and I'm still love the show.
Hmm.
It like,
Well, Avatar: The Last Airbender did a good job of they did an extremely good job of trusting their audience because
yes,
if children aren't one thing, children are not stupid at all.
no,
Children are not dumb, and to treat them as such is a discredit to yourself because that's one thing Avatar: The Last Airbender did. They approached their audience as if they weren't stupid, and they treated certain subjects and certain character development and certain actions as if their audience wasn't stupid, and it paid off. It worked very well by doing that, by treating your audience a little bit, more mature than most people would. You make something that lasts because Avatar: The Last Airbender holds up to today. Like it to this day, it's still a good cartoon, an extremely good cartoon.
definitely. That's what really made me mad about Teen Titan. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Teen Titan, and how back in 2004 and 2006, you watch that show, you're like, wow, this is for kids, yet it's so fun, action packed, have real good characters, have really emotional moments that make you say, wow, I really like the characters. Then you watch Teen Titan Go now, and you just slap kick humor, and
Mm-hmm.
just you don't really feel anything. You just watch the show, and just say, oh, okay, it's on, and walk away. You don't feel nothing about the characters. And at that time, they went from a show that treat the audience with like respect to now a
Mm-hmm.
show that just for giggles for like 8-year old.
Right, right.
And he's
So,
like,
funny thing about Teen Titans Go.
okay,
Teen Titans Go is a good cartoon. Like let's just get that out the way. Teen Titans Go as cartoons
debatable.
go is a good cartoon. The reason why yourself and people don't like that cartoon is because it has source material. It has
Yes,
source material that you remember that you loved. It's got
yes.
source material that you loved and something it's Teen Titans Go is something you would never do to that source material. That's why it's problematic.
Yeah, cause I like Amazing World Gumball. Like that's like kind of
Mm-hmm.
the same thing. And I sit there,
So
and I,
Teen Titan, right, right. So Teen Titans Go, if Teen Titans Go had all original characters, if it had just original characters, if it just came straight from, if it just came straight from the mind, like it's let's say it wasn't Robin, Beast Boy, Raven, Cyborg, or Starfire, because if you watch the show without that in mind, without thinking that this is Robin, Starfire, Beast Boy, Raven, if you the fact that you watch it and you think, oh, Beast Boy would never do this, that's what makes you hate it. Or if you think Robin would never do this, that's what
yes,
makes you hate it. But if they were any other characters besides the characters they are, people would love that show for what it was.
because Amazing World Gumball is very silly. Well, and sometimes I got some really good smart jokes. So and but they're like original, so I appreciate being original. So that's why I like it so much.
Mm-hmm.
But you put the same type of humor for a Teen Titan Go when I remember as my childhood of Teen Titans and being more serious and being more grounded, it made me just like I don't really like it.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's the reason why. Because as cartoons go, and if you actually watch it and like get out of your head that this is what Teen Titans has become, if you get that out of your head, Teen Titans is hilarious. Like I'm sorry, Teen Titans Go is hilarious. It's a really good cartoon, man.
Yeah, but just like you remember, no, Robin. You remember Robin being like the serious,
Uh
being
huh.
stoic, being like a leader. The next thing you see on Teen Titan Go, he twerking. Like what?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Like what? Why am I Robin twerking on TV?
I understand why people don't like it. I completely understand why people don't like it. But You just got to take it for what it is, man.
Beast Boy out here making hits. I'm like, what? What's going on
And
here?
Beast Boys song slap. Don't even try to
I did,
front.
I didn't try.
Don't
I say
even
he made
try to
hits.
front.
I say he made hits. I mean, I listened to him on Twitter. I'm like, man, it's kind of good.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh
still, I'm like,
yeah.
this is Beast Boy. I'm like, I remember him just changing animals like in a second. Now you're here just singing songs, changing tunes in a second. So yeah, so basically we're kind of like even with like anime and cartoons. Like if you're we have a lot of nostalgia going with like cartoon, and right now we still have some really good cartoons that we can watch right now. Same thing with anime, and how cartoon anime is now finally being respectful for the audience.
Hmm.
So next thing I want to talk about now, since we talked so much about the theme of respecting the audience,
Hmm.
let's talk about one of the 2020 misfire in video games, and that video game is The Last of Us Part Two. Now I know you said that before this whole podcast started that you didn't really play the game Last of Us Two, but you heard about it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It definitely made waves in the news. That's for sure.
They said 50% of people just did not like the game, which is astounding when you compare it to the first game, which everybody call it a masterpiece. The
Yeah.
game,
That's a big turnaround.
yeah, the game that everybody said, is video game a media now? Like same with cartoon, comic books, all that stuff like that. Is video games a medium? Because it's like it was shown how good it was that people said, wow, the story is very good between the two main character, what's named Joel and Ellie. Well, Last of Us Part Two, in my opinion, really did messed up. Like, let me tell you, like the part of some parts that I think a lot of people got upset about. Joel, the way he got killed was so early in the game and so disrespectful. People just did not like it. Like the way they killed him was that so in the video game, the Last of Us Part One, Joel decided to save Ellie because Ellie had a cure, I guess, to save humanity from this big fungal uh, infection that make
Right.
everybody
Right.
the zombies.
Okay.
So he delivered her to the Fireflies, an organization that's supposed to want to save the world and stuff like that. And then he was told to save the world, they have to kill Ellie and get the cure from her, which is stupid because if you ever learn anything about vaccination, you don't have to kill the patient to get the vaccination from them. So killing them was
Mm.
already stupid already. But he did so to save, so he went there and decided to save her, basically killing everybody in the hospital to save Ellie. And that's how they end the story of the first one, make you feel more morally ambiguous, like saying, "Wow, I thought I was like black and white. I'm a good guy, I'm a bad guy, but instead this time I'm like in between. I'm in this gray area at the end of the story." So they continue that with the second story, where there's another girl who really want Joel dead. So she later on killed Joel. And we're like, and how she killed Joel was Joel, like she was trying to hunt for Joel and she gets stuck by these zombie looking thing called, ooh, I forgot it called, but they're like zombies. And when she was getting attacked by the zombies, Joel came and saved her.
Hmm.
And she didn't know who they were. His Joel and his brother Tommy. Uh, she didn't know who they were until they introduced themselves. Say, "Hey, I'm Tommy. This is my brother Joel." And she's like, "Oh, you're Joel?" And he said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Hey, do you got any place to go to so we can quickly go there and find like refugee or refuge?" And they went to this house and she attacked them. She got like a shotgun, shot her leg off. and being with a golf club, and Ellie came after them and found him like beating up to a pulp, and Abby just killed him right in front of her. And it was just, and people say it was just so bad how they took a really beloved character and killed him so easily like that. So
Right,
within one
right.
hour of the game,
Okay, okay. I get what you're
one
saying.
hour of the
Yeah.
game, yeah,
See, that's a point of the material not respecting the character the way the audience respects the character.
yeah.
So whoever picked up the reins and did the writing
The
for
same
that day,
guy,
oh my
the guy
god,
who wrote the first one, wrote the
that's even
second one.
worse. That's yeah, that's a big misstep because again, like I said, once your audience, if your audience, you gotta respect how much your audience respects your writing.
Yeah,
So if you write this character up and and some people do it so much better than others. Like Attack on Titan did it well where they killed off but even in that case Aaron was not beloved by the time he died. I think
Aaron
Aaron was
dies.
more. No, yeah, I'm talking about at the very beginning, like the surprise at the very beginning of the series where he
Oh,
gets
okay.
eaten. Yeah, yeah. So I'm talking about then, like I wouldn't say Aaron was beloved. You just happened to be attached to him a little bit.
Okay.
But in this case,
Well, beloved.
Joel, he was a beloved character. There's stake in that, you have stake in this character. So when he just unceremoniously gets killed off, it's like maybe they could have done better than that.
So yeah, so that's the first strike. There's so many problems in this game. So the second part of the game, second part, sorry. So the second part is that they made Ellie the second beloved character of the game such a serial killer. Like felt she like the way she was killing people to get her revenge on the girl named Abby.
Mm-hmm.
But wow, like they had for some reason somebody in the department say, "Hey, you know what? Let make the audience feel bad about killing the people. Having people like when you kill a person, they have another character screaming out their name, their full name, saying, "Hey, Johnny, no, you're dead," and make you feel. Have all the audio sounds to when you get killed, you hear all the grisly detail of them getting murdered. Like you stab in the neck, you hear like, kill, like,
Right.
you feel like you're killing somebody, and then you kill dogs.
Hmm.
Like you just brutally kill dogs.
Yeah,
And
that
you,
sounds like a departure from that character. That's seems like an unearned change in that character that just is abrupt. Like it's really abrupt and out of nowhere.
yeah, oh, definitely. Because Ellie killed, I think, two people in the first game. The first game, she only killed one person because she had to save Joel, and then she killed another person because the person was attacking her. So that was completely different. How the next game, she's like looking like I don't know,
A killing
Equalizer,
machine.
the Equalizer in the movie, in the game, killing people with bow and arrow, knives, and a bolt rifle the whole entire time, and cracking necks.
Hmm.
And there was a point where they had like another character was saying like, "Oh, look at how many bodies we found in 2 days." And it like a graveyard out there.
Jeez.
Like she was stacking bodies out there.
Yeah, that is definitely that's a case of where the character that they've written, it just makes no sense for that character to do the things that they're trying to make them do now. And as a as the audience, it doesn't, two and two doesn't make three. You know what I mean?
Yeah, make four.
So no, two and two should make four. But in this case, two and two is making
Making three.
three, and
Yeah,
it makes no sense whatsoever for the audience.
yeah, definitely. And to make matter worse, like so, Abby, the girl that killed Joel, she she killed like one guy, and that was it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Ellie was out there killing everybody and everybody who wasn't involved. Like, only thing they basically did was just be in the room. They were just in the room and didn't stop Abby for killing her, or killing Joel, because they were
Mm-hmm.
like there for that reason. But Ellie was brutalizing people, torturing people, killing them. Like the one person, I think it was a black girl in the game. I forgot her name, and she was beating her up with a pipe. It's like,
Ugh.
whoa, like yo, okay. I mean, I feel I know your energy, but just not the person who did it. and it went so far to the point she killed a pregnant lady. Okay, a person who was pregnant, she killed her. She didn't know she
Oh,
was pregnant, but she killed her still. It was like, yo, what am I? It's like to a point you like as a player, it's like, what am I playing as?
hmm.
And then they did another. That was second strike. Then make a third strike, and people really did not like this one. So when Joel get killed, a lot of players expressed this anger between the Abby character, the person who killed Joel, and they're like, "Man, I can't wait to kill Abby. I can't wait to kill Abby." So they spent like 10 hours building up at Ellie, killing all the people, setting a trap, getting all your craftsmanship, everything like that. Then they're like a stopping point. And next thing you know, for the next 10 hours, you're playing as Abby.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you're playing as a person who you hate for 10 hours, and now you're playing her for 10 hours.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah,
I
and
don't,
see what you're telling me, like all of the things you're telling me could be done very well. Like it could be very cool. Like especially if you're seeing if you're seeing things from the quote unquote villain's eyes, like
yes.
that could always be cool, you know?
Yeah, I totally understand that. But,
But it just seems like they decided to do it very wrong.
yeah, because, you know how I said about Ellie and how she was basically being like a serial killer, just killing people, also like that. Well, but on Abby's side, she loved dogs. She can't kill dogs. She loved dogs. Uh, she she don't lead by. She fighting against this people who very dangerous and very harmful, and actually hurt a lot of people. They made this whole thing make you feel like that. Oh, Ellie is a person who murdered anybody on site, while Abby have a reason to kill people, and to the point you say you can't blame them for that reason,
Hmm.
and it make you feel like, wow. So Ellie in her own game is the villain, and Abby is a good guy, and it's like everybody don't like, and like a lot of people did not like Abby. Like so far when I've heard no one like Abby, but they understand the point where the author was trying to make you see the other point of view, like the villain point of view. So they say like,
See, and
oh
the more I hear you talk about it, like the more it sounds like what the attempt may have been was that trying to show you that there's not so much different between what you would consider a villain and what you would consider a hero. You know,
yes,
like just because this person has done one terrible thing, does that justify another person doing several terrible things in retaliation? You know,
yes,
but it sounds like that wasn't fleshed out very well either.
it was not. It was not. It's if more people are trying. I feel like the people who trying to defend it did a better job telling a story than the author, because like, oh, I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, I understand. They want to do that, but then I'm like, I read now watch the Sting game. I'm like, yeah, no, I still like it.
This was not done very well. Like,
It was not. It
oh
make
my.
it's it. I just sat there and watched Ellie, who the person who I was rooting for when I heard about the whole promotion of it, see her just mercilessly kill so many people like a serial killer, like a villain, and then see the villain, the supposed villain story do a good thing. For instance, they show her with this little boy they have who's a transgender person, and they show her being very accepting, very understanding, and to a point that she devote her life to saving this boy and his sister. But then you see Ellie hardly ever had like a companion with her. Like she had a pregnant girlfriend, but still, the girlfriend don't really do a lot of stuff in the thing. So you really just see Ellie just being angry majority of the game. So you still feel that anger through the game with Ellie, while you felt more compassion with Abby. And like, you don't know who Abby is. This is Abby's first time being presented in this whole series, and even
Right,
in the
right.
game, it's still like Abby just got introduced. Why am I supposed to? Why I'm making you? Why I feel like you're making me hate Ellie and like Abby?
Yeah, it seems like that was the attempt was to get you to see that what you would consider a hero wasn't isn't always quote unquote the hero. You know what I mean? Doesn't always do the hero things.
Yeah,
But it could have been fleshed out and it could have been done so much better than it was.
definitely. And now the last strike, and I think that's strike four. I'm not. I forgot my counting.
Yeah, yeah, strike four. They're way past out.
They're way past out. Okay, now this is the part that no one liked. They was really frustrated. Now, like I said the other one, they were frustrated playing with Abby, but they thought they were like this. I saw a lot of people who playing the game. They thought, well, the good news is Ellie's still angry. Ellie still want to kill Abby. Ellie, after they had this big fight the first time around, Ellie decided to go home, and both of them survive at the time. They go home, and they was like, "Hey, you know what? We'll go get that barn house they were talking about early in the game, and actually sit there and basically have a good future with her girlfriend." And her girlfriend was pregnant with another man baby, with the other
Mm-hmm.
man died in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're basically raising that baby as their own. And they live in this little barn house area. And life looked great. They have the guitar. They have goats in the pasture. They have a farm I was talking about earlier. Like everything looks so good. It feels so calming. It looked peaceful. It felt like a dream sequence that was actually real. Then Tommy came in and was like, "Hey, my brother was shot. You said you're going to go after Abby and kill Abby, and Abby's still out there, and you're out here having fun. Joel won better, you know what I mean?" And
Right.
so Ellie was thinking about that because she still had nightmares about how she saw Joel getting killed. That she
Mm-hmm.
decided to go out there and kill Abby, and so she's decided to leave, and her girlfriend said, like, "Hey, if you leave, I'm not gonna be here because I'm not gonna sit here all the time wondering if you survive or not."
Mm-hmm.
And Ellie still decided to go. So now she went to go after Abby, who Abby was deciding to go to like this with her and the boy Levi, I forgot his name, and they decided to go to another campsite where they're supposed to be safe, where they're captured by some kind of pirates, something like that.
Mm.
So Ellie get there. She went out there and killed all the pirates out there to get Abby, to find Abby basically uh, deprived of food and everything. Which I forgot to mention, they made Abby look like a man. Like she had muscles on the game. Like it's to the point where she is actually throwing punches at the zombies. Like everybody else shoot the zombies, she out here throwing hands. Like you can see some compilation on YouTube and seeing the people just punch like literally squaring up with zombies in the game. Like
Goodness.
so when they actually show Abby is like very weak and kind of frail looking. So now Ellie could take her this time, but she like Abby tied up on a pole because they were actually trying to kill people in a very slow way.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, I guess being very a lot of people very angry and stuff like that was thinking like, oh, are we gonna cut her or are we gonna just leave her there and just leave her to die? Instead, Ellie, no promption for the user, and there's a cutscene. Ellie went behind the pole and cut the rope, freeing Abby and allowed them to go to a boat. Then Ellie said, you know what? After she got all the way over there, she remembered that Abby killed Joel and decided, hey, I can't let you leave. Let's have a fight. So they started to fight to the death, and Ellie was winning, and she was drowning Abby. And everybody was like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, finally, we're going to kill Abby. Then Ellie decided to change her mind and let Abby free, and Abby lived the game, and she left the beach. And
Oh
Ellie
my
by
goodness.
herself. So they didn't even let the user either have a choice to let her live or die. They just let the person who you hated throughout the whole game lives, and who killed your beloved character lives, and people were just not happy about that. Like, what was the point? Like, we killed Ellie went out there and killed so many people to get to Abby, and the person who shot the bullet is the one who lives.
Hmm. Yeah, see that seems like a case of a writer wanting his cake and eating it too, because you can't have this badass killing machine, and then once they finally get to well, you can have that. There's ways to do that. There's honestly ways to do that,
Exactly.
but it it seems it seems terribly executed in this case.
Like, for instance, people saying like it didn't make no sense because like Ellie was there to kill Abby, and while she was killing Abby, the flashback of Joel playing guitar and basically talking about how, uh, excuse me, about burp, how Ellie and she was upset with Joel because he took that choice away from her to die on that table, and she felt like her life didn't matter anymore because you took away that big thing she was there, like she was her destined to be.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I understand. And she said, hey, I cannot forgive you for that, but I'll try. And she remembered that and forgiveness. And I'm like, that forgiveness is completely different from person like forgiving somebody for taking away a choice that you had, making to you, making like you took away something from you. It's completely different from forgiving somebody who kills somebody of your loved ones.
Hmm.
and and the fact that it came like literally it was shoehorned in the very last second of the game. Like, I think Ellie was all about revenge throughout her whole story. Nobody told us that, hey Ellie, you think you're going a little too far. Hey Ellie, you think you should calm down. Hey, revenge is very bad for you. And at the very end, you're not going to really get anything because Joel is still dead, etc. No, they didn't do that. They do it at the very last second. Like, there's no uh foreshadowing that Ellie gonna make that decision, and they just say, you know what? Let's just do it right now. Let's put like a little cutscene right here to
And
say,
just
nah,
completely change her character 100%.
yes,
Yeah, that's like I said, that's awful execution of also execution of writing. That's just a terrible example of character development.
oh yeah. A lot of people say it was character assassination.
Oh yeah, that's what it sounds like. Everything you told me sounds like character assassination. I would have to agree with people there. That doesn't sound like I said. Left for Dead is not something that I hold near and dear to my heart. But if
Oh,
that
not
were to happen to
Last of
something
Us.
that I did, I'm sorry, Left for Dead. But
Not a completely different game.
Last of Us is not something that's near and dear to my heart. But if it were something that was near and dear to my heart, and that's what they decided to do with it, I could definitely see the outrage 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll like anybody who listening or you yourself, yeah, I'll say to just watch it and see what your opinion is, because maybe you go there and say, you know what, I can totally see what the artist going to, we're going for. But for me, looking at it, I'm like, luckily, I'm more with Telltale Walking Dead. I feel like that was way better. I'm a fan of that thing in the way they did the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there was like a big debate between like a creator saying who's better, Ellie or Clementine. And I said
Mm-hmm.
Clementine. And everybody said, oh, no, Ellie killed so many people. And I'm like, but yeah, who got a better story though?
No, yeah. Like I said, I do remember playing I remember playing Walking Dead, those games. I kinda like Telltale's the way they kind of make games, but I do remember that. And I remember playing Clementine and playing through all of that, and Clementine 100% had the better story.
I mean, like, she just killed as a character. I mean, I just I fell in love with her with the first game where she was just like your adopted daughter, just like how they did with Ellie.
Hmm.
But the fact that Ellie couldn't carry her own story, they put two people on there, while Clementine carried this whole second game, season 2 of Walking Dead, and people still love it. I think it was like an 8 out of 10. So like, and the fact this one, I think a lot of people getting like some people giving like a 6 or a 4 for
Hmm.
Last of Us 2.
Yeah, last like I said, if it's anything like what you just described to me,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like a terrible time that I want no part of.
Exactly. And yeah, pretty much what I want to talk about this podcast. I really want to say thank you for coming in today.
Hey, listen, man, I appreciate you having me. I could talk about cartoons, anime, video games. I could talk about that all day long.
Yeah, same here. Well, this is the end of it. Thank you for watching it and have a good day.
All right, take it easy, man. Until next time.
Till next time. Bye.